You're live from Saturday night. Oh, a little bit. So what do you think? We're live. We'll see if anyone joins. That would be the big deal. Oh God, everyone's coming in already. Everyone's coming in already. Can you guys hear me? Let's hope so. That's good. Oh, all right. We're gonna see how many people come into this early stream. Yes, technical difficulties because setting up YouTube to go live is just a pain in the butt. And if you accidentally click one thing, everything goes into production and you can't like hit pause, just make a simple change. You have to start the whole chain of events all over again. Oh, right. I am here, but I could only find kids. Oh, that's fine. Kids' headphones should be fine. Wasn't the first time. Yes, I saw you for like one split second. That's good. We'll give everyone a couple minutes to join, and then Johnny Cage and I will start the live stream off. I thought it'd be good to get some bearded dragons out, because as you guys know, they're going to be going into brumation, so we want to work on that. We want to maybe show them off, get with them a little bit. I think I can zoom the camera in just a little bit too, because it's so far back. Go like this. Go like, let's try that. Oh, much better. Much better. It's pissed already. Yeah, so hopefully everyone's having a good morning. Johnny Cage is just trying to get a little bit of his shed done before brumation time. Kind of help him out with his little leg joint here. There we go. I got you, buddy. We'll see how long it takes. I'm live streaming right next to Simba's enclosure. So we'll see how long it takes before me talking wakes him up. And then it happens. Yeah, very bright behind me. I don't know why the camera, maybe I can darken it a little bit. It's actually not that bright, but for some reason the camera thinks it is. Let's bring this down just a touch. I think what it is just my aura. That's what I think it is. It's like I give off like, oh, this shining radiance. I think I can tweak it just a little bit more. There we go. That should darken it. Let's make sure we can see me when I sit down. Oh yeah, it's better. A little dark. You're glorious and YouTube knows it. Yes, I try. Come one click up. Go here. Bring that down. There we go. That will have to do. That will have to do. Your radiant glow is too bright for the world. Well, I mean, you know, what can you do? Greatness is only, you know, the world can only take so much of it. Yeah, so that's a great question. I'm glad you bring that up. See, these front windows here, they don't have curtains. So I would close them if there were curtains to close. That's the catch. That's the catch. It's like Shocker in a movie. Good morning, good morning. Welcome, everyone, welcome. Also, Johnny Cage is not a wee man. Johnny Cage is a big boy. This is a big dude here. Let me see what happens if I turn this light on. Perhaps it will help. Maybe it will help counter the brightness. Oh yeah, it does a little bit. Right, wee man, as they called you. I know this is a grandpa dragon, okay? So definitely not a wee man by any means. He's very handsome. Oh, well, thank you. He tries. I told him we were live streaming this morning, so he spent all morning getting ready, aka sleeping under his log. We'll give it a couple more minutes here, and then we'll take some questions. Good morning. I'll take some questions from you guys. I got some stuff to go over. We'll say goodbye to the bearded dragons. Anyone who's not already in Brumation, although a lot of the dragons are. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I really like using live streams as a time to really connect with you guys, more so than just me spouting information. It's a really good time to interact and to maybe help answer questions, because I know I try to reply to a lot of the comments, but there's just so many comments. He's a ladies' man. That's true. Uh-oh, I said that and he looked at me. Oh boy. He's a ladies' man, or at least he likes to look at the ladies, as you guys have seen in some of my videos. We'll give it 3 minutes till 9:50, and then we'll get rolling. Guys, bearded dragons are just so fun. Like when you do things like I'm touching his leg here, and you watch his pupils, and he shifts his eyes back to look at you without moving his head, and you just know in his mind he's like, why is he touching my leg? Keep touching my leg, see what happens, right? It's just playing. Like I could kill you in 2 seconds. That's what he's thinking. You know, it's funny. He kind of can double Dragon Hotel. There's I believe, a YouTube short that's only a couple weeks old, but it's one of the newer videos about the creepy stalker bearded dragon. So between Clementine and Phoenix's tank, I have a barrier, but at the very top, because the piece of cardboard I use to just slide in between the tanks, there's a gap like this big. Johnny Cage will go on his hammock and stand up all the way and just peer, just with his head, just peers over the gap and looks straight down at them. It's complete, like, creeper. It's very funny to see, though, so you get to look at that. It's very hilarious, because as I walk by the reptile room, I can see from the hallway, like I can see the tanks. So I see them just like laying out sunbasking, and you can see the gap, and you just see the top of Johnny Cage's face in that gap every once in a while, which is funny. And yes, if you are in the Patreon, we do have a Discord for Patreon members, and I'm in there every day. I'm in their voice at least once a week, but I try to get in there a handful of times a week. But chatting is much easier, obviously, because I can, while I'm at work or something, I can look at the Discord on my phone. I can answer questions for people. But we do more impromptu, like video streams and stuff, either from me about my reptiles, or even the other Patreon members will video their reptiles and stuff. We just hang out. We have a good time. It's a good time. people get to ask a lot of questions. So not only am I in there, but a lot of other reptile enthusiasts on Patreon. For me, they're in there. And so there's a lot of knowledge, and it's a very fun community, which is really nice. No judgment. We love helping each other out, whether it's figuring out a new reptile to get, making improvements to your current tank, or just want to say hi. It's just fun. It's just fun. There's non-reptile stuff we do in there as well, so it's a good time. It's a good time, and I feel like sometimes people, I don't feel like, do Patreon correctly. So on Patreon, yeah, I could release a video a couple days early on Patreon, but is that really a benefit? Because, okay, you get to see it 1 to 2 days, sometimes a week early is what people do, but everyone gets to see that video regardless. So it's not really good exclusivity for people who are helping donate and helping keep a reptile rescue alive. So me doing Discord, okay, so some Patreons have Discord, but my particular thing is to be very active in the Discord, whether it's voice or chat, just because, people are donating and it just helps. It's just a benefit to give out to people, which is good. Otherwise, people could just donate and you don't do anything. Not everyone joins Patreon. A lot of people just join the Discord or just join the Patreon, and then they never join the Discord, or they join the Discord just to look at the pictures that we post, because people will post pictures of their reptiles or their tanks. So whatever. You do whatever you want to do. I can see each other. Oh, yeah. Yours, Double Dragon Hotel, are just a completely different thing. Boot, I got a live show. Hi from California. Hello, it's early for you this morning. I'm Nikki. Thank you. Hello, Nikki. You are all awesome. Thank you. And you are a blessing. Well, thank you. Lots of symbols. Thank you with a heart. Well, thank you. I do the spiel. I say this all the time, but I didn't make a YouTube channel to make money. I didn't make a YouTube channel to show off. Hello from Denmark. Hello. Guten Tag. But I did it just to help people. And that's why I do the videos, to help people, educate people. So I don't get the most views. I don't make just the clickbait videos of, oh, my bearded dragon tried to eat me and stuff like that. A lot of people do make clickbait videos. What? Oh, come on. Now that it's going, come on. But no, I try to focus around the education and around the practicality of actually owning reptiles and taking care of them correctly, how to fix common things. A lot of people don't have reptile vets near them. So going over some of the standard information is really important. And that's what I try to do. The Discord is right now only for Patreon members as a benefit for them. Otherwise, there would just be way too many people. And, I don't have a management team to manage my social media accounts and to reply to comments. No, when there's a reply to a comment, it's actually coming from me, not from my team. Hi, love your show and your rescued animals. Thank you. You're brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, that. Bless you and for all your good work. Oh, thank you so much. So what I kind of like to do in these things is we kind of pivot back and forth between my time and your guys' time, which is really important. And I thought we would probably start with your guys' time, and then we can bounce back and forth. So if you guys have any questions on reptiles, specifically, if you do have questions about bearded dragons, brumation time is coming. I know I make a video every year about facts about brumation, but that's okay. You can go ahead and ask questions about it. So any reptile questions you guys have, now's a good time to ask them. I'll answer if I can. Hopefully I know the answer, although I know a lot. I don't know everything. Let's be very clear about that. Let me put the disclaimer out there. But brumation time specifically is coming, and this is a scary time for bearded dragon owners, although it doesn't have to be. because it's very normal, but it's a scary time. And sometimes even vets, even a beginner, because you guys got to understand with vets, it's not their fault. Part of your training to become a vet is very little reptile information. Sometimes it's a 2-day class and part of your overall school, and that's it. I actually have someone who lives on the block with me who is becoming a vet. And yep, they have a short little 2-day class, and it's like a 4-hour day each day on reptiles. And that's it. And everything else is on warm-blooded, animals. So all vets get told very minor things about reptiles, and then really it would be up to the vet to do reading on their own, to go to specialized classes on their own. Now classes could be very hard for a vet because maybe there are no specialized classes in their area. They don't want to, they can't afford, or it doesn't make sense, especially if they're the only vet to fly someplace for a class. So a lot of the times with reptile vets, it's reading what's in a textbook. There's a problem with that as well because there's so many textbooks. Some have really old, outdated information. And otherwise, it would just be experience, which is very hard. Because if you're getting just trying and trial and error is a great way to learn, but it kind of sucks when something's life is on the line, right? That's a problem. So can't be too hard on reptile vets. Now, if they claim to be, I should say on vets, if they claim to be a reptile specialist and they're kind of just taking advantage and they don't know anything, that's a problem. I love your show and rescue animal. I love people telling me brilliant. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I love people telling me I'm brilliant. Sounds great. Tell me more. Please stop. I mean, keep going. So does anyone have questions? And if you remember questions, you can come back. Hello, adorably derpy. Johnny Cage is very derpy, okay? That's not his fault. It's like a built-in it's a built-in trait. When you like have an RPG and you're leveling up your character and you're like, let me put some traits into this and this, and he's got +10 derpiness. It's fine. I've shown you guys him eat before. You may remember a video when I first got him, and I wanted you guys to really hear him eating. And if not, you got to look this up. I think it's called a Crazy Bearded Dragon Tries to Eat My Microphone or whatever. And I put the little boom mic in his tank because I wanted you guys to hear him crunching like dubias, some kind of bug. And he just stops eating and he looks at the microphone and he tries to eat the microphone. It just goes right. He just that's the derpiness, okay? But that's okay. That's what he's known for, and we love him, so that's fine. I was really blessed that yeah, you can get lucky. That's the thing. You can get a really good exotic vet who has had experience, who's done surgeries, who's ultrasounded, x-rays. They know how to check for MBD. They know how to manipulate the joints. They know how to listen to their heart and breathing, right? I showed it in a video with a stethoscope, hopefully trying to help vets. But because most lizards have scales, it can be quite difficult to hear the heartbeat or to hear the lungs, but there is a trick to do it and it works perfectly. So I showed that off. So I try to, put out knowledge, not just for you guys. I've worked with a lot of local vets. So I try to help spread that knowledge, which is really important because it's all about, the channel is all about the reptiles. It's not about me. It's about taking good care of these reptiles, rescuing, rehabbing these reptiles, getting them rehomed into good homes. But it's also about helping you guys take care of this. We know that bearded dragons now are not looked at as 4 to 6 year pets. They're looked at 15 to 20 year pets. It's a big time investment. It could be big money investment. And it needs proper care to get to that. But that's the proper age as a pet. We know leopard geckos can hit their 20s. We know most monitors can hit their 20s or more. So these are things that now we are striving for in the reptile community, and we're hitting quite easily with good information. But when you go to PetSmart or Petco, can be where some bad information comes from. Not because of the store, just the employees don't get the right training, right? The employees don't know. The employees are there for a year or two. They have to know everything, and they want to sell you the reptile, right? So if this guy is, $40 when he's on sale as a baby, and they give you a 10-gallon fish tank, and they say, oh yeah, he should live, 5 years. Pretty good buy. What they're not going to tell you is, oh yeah, this guy will live 20 years, and just like a dog, right, you should bring your dog into the vet maybe for a yearly checkup, maybe for a fecal, maybe get some blood work, heartworm medication, things like that. Most people will buy a reptile and just think they'll just sit in the tank and you just feed them and they're fine. That's really what contributes to the shortened life. Why are we not doing yearly fecals on our reptile? Should. Do you have a vet that can do it? Is it $40-$50 a year? Reptiles cost money, like another animal would, right? And another animal, you're going to do vet visits, cats, things like that. You got to think about that for your reptile. He's got a built-in resistance, but the lace, that's true. Other videos, reptiles is too much work for me. Okay, and so Sarah, they're not too much work. Especially if you only have one reptile, as long as you do your research on that reptile, it's not a lot of research, and you get everything set up correctly. That's not hard to do. It's not super expensive. But then last, you buy the reptile and you just know what to do. They're very easy. One bearded dragon would be an easy pet. Feed him veggies once a day. Feed him bugs once a week when they're an adult. It's a little different from when they're babies. Spot clean their poop. Disinfect the tank if they get it everywhere. Give them a bath. That's it. It's less work than a dog. Which is important to know. Most reptiles are less work than a dog, but there is stuff you have to do. You can't just ignore it, open the cage, and throw food in there. Practicing medicine. Yeah, practicing medicine is good, but most people don't call it practicing reptile medicine, or they just think reptiles are not important. Reptiles are small. You can do a lot of surgeries on reptiles. There's people in the chat who've had surgeries done. You can get male reptiles neutered. You can spay female reptiles all the way down to the small little leopard geckos and crested geckos, things like that. There's procedures. You see them with arms amputated sometimes due to bone infection, tails amputated, growths removed from their inside of their mouths. They get casts, arms are splint, they get tumors removed from inside of them. It's quite fascinating what reptile vets are capable of doing. My Beardy has been digging a spot under her hammock that's under her basking lot. Why, please? Oh, man. You have to understand that bearded dragons are crazy, and they can literally do any type of behavior at any time, and it could mean anything. Sometimes they'll dig because they're getting ready to lay eggs. Sometimes they just want to dig. Sometimes they just want darkness, and they're trying to make a little burrow. In brumation time, what happens for them is kind of like a bear. They will dig a hole or find a cave that's already, they can wedge themselves into tight. They wedge themselves in quite tight, and they block off the entrance. They'll dig it and they'll cover it with dirt. That way they feel safe from predators, and that way they have darkness and that it's cooler. So, because it's that time of year again, during brumation time, it becomes very hard to diagnose illness in a bearded dragon, which is when most bearded dragons get sick. Because bearded dragons, the way they act when they're sick is the way that they act when they're healthy when brumation comes. So it can be a pain. So it's very important to, right before brumation time starts, to make sure that your bearded dragon is healthy. At least here They just have leopard geckos info and use them. You know, I did some reviews and I kind of stopped because they were disheartening on the Petco and PetSmart, you know, those little brochures. And a lot of them had bad information or old information, which is bad information, which is unfortunate. And I'm assuming that's as much training as the person working at the store gets, or they don't even read it. So the recent brumation video was a fantastic recap to watch. My dragon went into brumation for 2 weeks, woke up, and is now back in brumation. Yeah, it probably didn't really go into brumation. It was just kind of getting ready, feeling things out, and then it'll dive in. But brumation can last, you know, just a couple weeks. Typically, it's more than 2. Typically, it'll get to about 4 weeks, about 1 month, and it can go half a year. Sucks that you may only have a pet that lasts, you know, that's only awake for half of the year. It's not a lot of work, just being consistent. Yeah, being consistent. But the nice thing is you pick it up too if you've got a bearded dragon that, you know, poops once a day after they eat or right before they eat or in the morning. Those are things that you pick up on and you learn. And if you see that, oh, wow, that's not happening for some reason, then, you know, you can pick on maybe something is wrong. You really get to bond with your reptile. You understand their behavior and you'll know. And the other thing is reptiles are very loving. The people who say they can't love or this or that, when you own a reptile, you know when a reptile comes and cuddles you or comes and puts its head underneath your head to go to bed, oh, they feel safe is what people will say. Yeah, they like being there. They love being there. Wow. You know, when my reptiles come running up to the front of the tank when I enter the room. I got to pet them. They need their morning pets and they like me to say goodnight to them. So it's not a made up thing. You can see they have emotions, just like if you were to put 2 or 3 different types of food in front of them. You'll see that they will eat their preferred food. They might go for the hornworms. They may go for the pinky mouse. They may go for the greens. They may go for the fruit. Okay, but what if you put fruit? They may prefer blueberries over raspberries or cherries over all of them. So you can see that they do like things. They do love things more, food, people, etc. I have a baby named Ember. I like the name, in a 40-gallon, and he's an absolute adorable baby. 10 small, dubious daily, or about whatever he wants. Yeah, it's good. Plus half an hour to an hour in the sun outside. Very nice, very nice. Not just the basking, but also can run around and get some exercise. Exercise is really important. They get to move all their joints, and it stimulates their digestive tract. It's one of the best ways to relieve if you think there's constipation. Just get them to run around a little bit. That's going to get everything flowing, and then the floodgates open. You can feed them, you know, if they eat a little bit more than 10, it's fine. Because remember, when they're babies, they're not storing fat. They're using all that protein and all that fat's being converted into energy so they can grow. This is the nice thing about younger lizards is you get to really watch them pig out. But as long as you stop and fix that when they become an adult, then they would store fat. What info would you need? Her temps are steady at 100% humidity at 100 degrees. You know, there's really not much info. That stuff can be normal behavior. You just make sure that it's not too hot. So when you say her temps at 100, I'm assuming you mean that's the surface temperature of the basking area, not the hot ambient air temperature, because 100 would be too hot for all the hot air. You should give them enrichment, like stuff to climb on, bring them outside, help them explore. Yeah, that's why I put the different caves, because they can climb on top of the caves. You put the hammock. They love to climb up on hammocks. Then I put the shelf, and I put, you know, the half log so they can climb. They can grind their nails. They can rub out their pores. They can go in the cave, which stimulates them to feel like they're in a burrow without the digging. And then I take them out, I let them run around. And in the winter time, I let them run around in the house. Question, what tips to have specifically for housing reptiles in a colder climate, like a sulcata? Think you live in Michigan? I do, which is also where I live. Well, the sulcata, you have to bring in some type of heated place for the winter time. It does get too cold here. They do come, most of them that are alive in Nevada here in the States, they do survive the winter in the desert there, although it doesn't get quite as cold for as long, and it does heat up during the day. So what sulcatas would do is they would dig a den, all the sulcatas, they dig these cave networks, and they would go underground to survive the cold. And they'll do it sometimes in cooler climates as well. And what they'll do when they're down there is quite gross but fascinating. They just they eat each other's poop. That's how they stay alive. And then they pee, and the pee is what keeps the humidity up in the burrow and prevents their shells from going bad. Quite fascinating. Disgusting if a human was doing it, but quite fascinating when an animal is doing it to survive. But so I have an indoor pen. You've seen Tortellini's pen. There are people who will build an outdoor enclosure, and they'll put heat in it. And if you've got that, it's fine. Build like a shed. It's got to be pretty big because it's got to move around, but you build a shed that it can move around in depending on the size of the sulcata, and there you go. Hey, Beardy gets grumpy if I sit down at the computer without bringing her. Yeah, so bearded dragons love to be, they're very social lizards. These are lizards that can get depressed if they're ignored for too long. And they are lizards that just love to socialize with their owner. If you look now, Johnny Cage is quite content. He's just here sitting with me. He's loving this time. He's looking around. He feels safe by me. You know, I have all his feet supported. And that's important because they like spending time with you. So they also, their little computer of a brain is quite fascinating because they are always trying to understand what's going on. And you see this. You see this if you are playing with a bouncy ball in front of them and they're just watching that ball. And then they want to play with the ball or chase the ball. And you see this if you are reading a book in front of them or if you're typing on a computer. They watch and they're trying to understand, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And they want to be involved in that. So I always tell people, put your lizard where they can see you for most of the day because they want to watch you. They want to understand when you're eating food. They look up and they're like, what is that? What are they doing? What was this they're doing? What are they cutting food? They're putting it in their mouth. What are they doing? What is this? You know, so they're very curious lizards, bearded dragons, and they love to watch and to interact. It's fascinating. Their brain is just always absorbing knowledge, which is really good. LOL, that's what I used to do with my older one. There's a picture I put on Instagram. It's a couple years old now, I think, of Simba, and he has his hands, when he was a little younger, on my keyboard. And what I was doing is I was working, typing on my keyboard, and he was on the couch with me, and he was just watching. And he was fascinated with me hitting the keyboard. And you know, and I stopped, and I got up to get a drink, and he got up, and he went over there, and he put both his hands on the keyboard. Because he was just so, you know, he needed to know what I was doing. He needed to figure out what it was, which is very fascinating. Savannah monitors are the same way. They love to watch. Yeah. Yesterday, I cleaned my office, and Chester was super interested in what I was doing. Yeah, absolutely. With most lizards, they are very smart creatures. So they try to figure it out. It's not just that. So you have to think about with bearded dragons, but with most lizards, when you keep them in a group. Because when you watch bearded dragons in the wild, or any lizard in the wild that's by other lizards, they're always looking at each other. They're processing it. So one thing I showed with, sometimes it can be kind of hard to introduce new food to a lizard, perhaps a bearded dragon, to introduce a new green, to introduce something that they don't know what it is. But if you've seen my cohabitation series with Phoenix and Clementine living together, Clementine being younger and Phoenix being much older, Phoenix has tried more things, but she's kind of stubborn because she's older, where Clementine is just young. She sees food, she's like, let me try it. If she doesn't like it, she'll spit it out. If she likes it, she'll eat it. but Phoenix does not like to try new stuff. So if I feed something to Clementine, you guys have watched this, like with the mango and stuff, they watch each other. So Phoenix will watch in shock and be like, wait, what is that? She's eating that. Let me try that. And then she'll try it. Same thing with if I feed a food that Clementine maybe doesn't want, but Phoenix has eaten it before, Phoenix will eat it and Clementine will watch her and be shocked. She'll be like, whoa, I need to try this now. So it's interesting how they're always watching and learning, but they don't just watch other reptiles. They'll pick up from us humans. Double Dragon Hotel had a video of bouncing a ball in front of her bearded dragon's tank. Her daughter was bouncing this ball, and Murray, the bearded dragon, was just going crazy watching this ball. Then they put it in his tank, and he started going after the ball just from watching her daughter play with the bouncy ball. It's quite fascinating. So they learn a lot. But a lot of times people don't think that. They just put the little dragon in the cage, and then they just leave it alone. What is the mystical thing you are doing with your hands? If I do I give... The mystical thing I'm doing with my hands is trying to stop the suicide jumper from jumping off the bridge. That's what they do. They start like they are begging for... Yeah, they can do that. I'm going to put Johnny Cage back. You guys come up with some questions, and I'm going to come back with another bearded dragon so we can finish up talk on them, and then we'll switch to something else, okay? Excellent. God, let's open it up. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about brumation or anything like that, or can I just roll on to some other stuff I want to talk about? We'll see. There's like 30 of you guys, so we'll do a little call. And don't worry, if you don't remember a question now, there'll be another time for some more questions, because I'll be in here for at least about a half hour more. We are really struggling with the tail on one of our dragons. Okay, that to me means, is the tail rotting? Is it dying? Is it black? Tail rot, yeah. There's really, did you take it to a vet? Because most of the time for tail rot, once it starts, they just have to amputate the rotted part. Because that's most of the time, that's all that they'll have to do, is they just have to amputate the rotten part. That way it doesn't spread. And they have to make sure they amputate enough of it, because they have to get all of the necrotic tissue off. Otherwise it will spread. So sometimes they have to just take just inside the good part, which is not bad. A lot of bearded dragons can get some tail rot. They hurt their tail. It's pretty common, especially when they're younger. Herb specialist. The prescribed flagell. Okay. So flagell is a medicated food to like let's say an antibiotic, to a long-term food. It's interesting though, because if that tail has already rotted, let's say like the tip, typically it starts at the tip of the tail and it works its way up towards the base. The flagell is not going to bring the dead tissue back alive, and it can't really stop the spread of it either, unless they're hoping that the dragon is just going to be so strong that it will hold off the infection. The dead part will go away. It can break off, which is pretty normal. So a lot of times you see dragons with tips of their tails missing because when they're little kids, they hit it. Little kids, little baby dragons, gets infected, it dies, it breaks off. Lost about 2 inches and tip was good. Okay. And so after the dead part is gone, did it come back, the tail rot? Is that what's happened again? It's interesting. It did. So it could be that creeping up tail. Yeah. So it probably needs to get amputated just past the rot. So what more than likely happened was, yep, that would be tail rot if it's turning black. What could have been happened is the piece that fell off was mostly dead, but there was still dead, especially the bone was still dead inside what looked to be healthy for the other tail. Oh wow, nice tail rot. That's a good question. What can cause tail rot? Which is, it's not specific just to the tail. Really, they could get rot anywhere on their body, but most of the time it happens to the tail due to an injury. They get a wound, they get their tail caught somewhere. There's quite a lot. So fungus can come in and take over. Typically starts on the outside. Sometimes you can stop it with like some Lotrimin and stuff like that. But it gets to the bone, and then the bone is killed, and then the dead bone, the necrosis just spreads, right? Because it's dead inside their body. Trauma, infection, yeah. Trauma that typically then leads to an infection. Sometimes doesn't heal correctly. Sometimes they can really mess up the bone without breaking the outer skin. It just happens. It's not common. It's not common per se, but you can look for it. When you see bearded dragons, especially ones kept from pet stores or stuff, it's very hard if you don't get a bearded dragon when they're a baby to see a bearded dragon with its full tail, which means the end comes to like a little point. Most of the time you'll see like a nub, which means they had a little bit of tail rot, the bone broke off, things like that. It's easier actually to overcome tail rot when they're younger because the bone is so super thin, it can just break and fall off. When they're older and that bone was thicker and then it dies, it doesn't snap off as easy. Lisa G says, love your videos and all of your babies. You take such good care of them. Thanks, I try. I have a bearded dragon and a leopard gecko. Cool. And although I do a lot of research, your videos help that too. Thanks. But you know, sometimes, again, the reason I do the videos is reading can suck sometimes. And also there's only, can get boring. And sometimes if you see someone talking about it and or showing how to tube feed, showing how to syringe feed, showing how to properly cut the nails rather than just reading it and things like that, it can help. Wondering also if it could be fungal. You know, it could be, but typically to confirm fungal, the vet can do a little bit of a biopsy. They can take a scale off, which will just grow back, and they can see if there's fungus on it. And if it's just outer fungal, like I said, antifungal medication, Lotrimin, stuff that even human antifungal medication, it just works. Just put it on there. If it's turning dark black, though, it's probably the bone inside. I'm going to be a new beardy owner. Awesome. Soon. Cool. Congrats. And I was wondering about Substrate. You know, I've talked about Substrate. It's interesting because bearded dragons can live on all substrates. They can live on loose substrate. They can live on solid substrate. Loose substrate typically goes wrong because it's the wrong loose substrate. It can lead to infection. It can lead to impaction. It can get in their eyes. They don't live on the dirt or the sand in the wild, although they do have access to it. They typically are on hard plains, more rocky. And as a owner that there's a lot of more upkeep you have to do. If you have a solid substrate, you can keep it clean much easier. You can disinfect it much easier. You don't have to worry about impaction. And what we're seeing is the bearded dragons who live shorter lives, they're on loose substrate. And these bearded dragons that are living much longer lives into their late teens, none of them are on loose substrate. So loose substrate can work. You got to go full bioactive with isopods to clean up and, prevent coccidia and germs and all that. It's much harder to do, and it makes a mess. It's not worth it, in my opinion. It's not worth it. The dragon doesn't care. And so you're just burdening yourself for no reason. The skin on the tail is so thin, especially on the bottom of the tail. Though whenever you need to draw blood for a bearded dragon, they go through the bottom of the tail into the main vein. Such an easy procedure to get blood from a dragon. They flip the dragon on its back. They go right in through the tail. There's a big vein right in the middle right there, and the scales are so thin on the bottom of the tail. But because the scales are so thin on the bottom of the tail, that's where wounds and infection typically can enter. Yeah, it's also my precious amount. That's good to know. Thanks, y'all. Oh, almost forgot to ask. My girl lost her claw as a hatchling, but it healed. Okay. And that was all gone. She is now suddenly exposed. They recently started to see growing claw tissue. It's interesting. So, if they just lose the claw, but the nail bed is not damaged, the nail can grow back. If they lose the tip of their finger where the nail cells are, or just traumatize the nail bed area, it won't grow back, even though they could have a full finger. And then obviously if they lose a lot of their finger, the nail bed area is gone. So yeah, as long as the nail bed is fine, they could have a claw completely ripped out, let's say, it will grow back. If they lose that skin, if they lose that part of the flesh that has the nail cells in it, no growing back. And sometimes they just lose the claw and then the nail cells get damaged and then they don't grow back even though they have the full finger. So where do you find your platform for your enclosure? I'd like to find one. I built them out of wood to put them on little racks if the enclosures are small enough, which is what I did. Just some 4x4 for the legs, 2x4 for the top, and then a piece of plywood on top. But that's because I did like a rack system. But if you're just looking for one enclosure, typically you can find a piece of furniture, a little shelf, a little end table of those dimensions, and it looks just fine. Yeah, they lose. Phoenix is missing a couple fingers. Johnny Cage is missing a couple fingers. They're just fine. I've had dragons. Well, you have dragons that are missing full limbs. They can get along fine. They'll adapt to it. It's quite fascinating. Dragons that are missing their back legs. What we see with dragons that are missing their back legs, especially both legs, they'll walk on their nubs if they have them, but they'll develop almost calluses and their nubs will get thicker. But what you'll also see is their front arms typically are bigger and their tail is much thicker because they start using their tail as basically a leg, as like a tripod type setup. And they'll use their front arms and their tail, and they'll have much thicker tails because they'll develop much more tail muscles because they're using it as a leg. So these lizards, they can find a way to adapt to missing a limb. So if they can find a way to adapt for missing a limb, missing one or two nails, especially if it's not a tree climbing lizard, not a big deal. Opinion on the flat felt. No, you don't want to use a reptile carpet. Very bad. Very bad. It just absorbs pee and poop and leads to infection. You'd want to do solid, non-porous. You can do paper towel because you just pick it up, throw it away. Newspaper, tile, shelf liner, waterproof shelf liner is really good because then you can just dry up the poo and pee and then spray a little chlorhexidine, disinfect that area, and you're good to go. Nothing porous. Also, reptile carpet, they can scratch it and those particles come off of it and they can eat them, especially if you get the green one because they like to eat greens, and it's very bad for them. I've seen that as some of the tissue survive. Yep. I use Repti bark. Is that okay? Okay, never mind. I'm getting rid of it. I would get rid of it. Maybe that. But apparently not. Heart, beardies. Hi. That's true for naming her tail. Yeah, and her tail will only start to get larger, especially as she gets heavier. It wouldn't be surprised if she's got, even if her body stays shorter, she's just going to have a huge muscular tail. Double Dragon Hotel. There's a small dragon. That's yep. She's still super mobile. Yeah, because they adapt to it. My mud turtle got a fungus infection a while back, treated by a vet, and it seemed to have lost a toe. Okay, so it had a foot infection. Did you have oral antibiotics? Did you guys do injections, cream? It's interesting. I just got surprised. It just started to grow. Yeah, it's unless you get down there with a microscope and look at it and test to see if there's nail cells, you don't know if the nail is growing back or it's not. And if it grows back, sweet. If it doesn't, oh well. Sometimes they actually will, when they injure their toe as well, the nail bed area, it will shift the way the nail grows. And sometimes you just get a nail that, let's say, grows straight up or goes forward, and that's fine. Sometimes you get a nail that's growing in towards their skin, so you do want to keep an eye on that, because if it is shifted around and it's like growing into them, causing them a wound, you got to have the tip of the finger amputated. That way the nail stops growing back. How much are we supposed to keep the femoral pores clean on a bearded dragon? Because, well, okay, so femoral pores will always be full of that hard oil substance. That's normal. And you're supposed to leave that alone. You're not supposed to empty femoral pores. The dragon uses that to spread their scent. So that's very normal. What you need to look for is impaction of the pores. So huge rock hard areas. You guys can't all go underneath my neck, okay? Huge rock hard areas of the skin underneath the pore. And most of the time, again, that can be prevented with 1 to 2 lukewarm baths a week, because that will soften it, and then the bearded dragon moving around. So if you've got a male bearded dragon that's just fat and lazy, those pores are going to overfill and get impacted. He's got to be climbing on something that can that will catch the pore and pull it loose. That's what they would do in the wild, is they just walk around, but for miles in the wild, and they rub out their pores. If you can't do that, then you just keep them soft and you just squeeze out a little bit. You don't have to empty the pore. You just squeeze out the hard part that has become solid on the top. But that's the key, is get it quite warm. That way they get very soft and it does not hurt the dragon. People who empty the pores all the way, now you have an empty cavity where infection can enter. So you typically don't do that. But if you do, you got to treat it with some iodine. Make sure infection doesn't enter that loose cavity. Too cute. Seeing them just chilling on your chest. They are so comfortable. Yeah, they're very comfortable right now. They're comfortable with each other and with me. Although Phoenix, who's old, right? In her teens, she crawls and puts her head right on me and goes to bed. She's very spoiled. I did inspections. Plus cream. Very good, very good, very good. Ooh, absolutely keeping an eye. Very good. Yeah, and if you see that the nail has grown basically past the skin and is growing just fine, then you're all good. All right, okay, they're so cuddly. They are very cuddly. They are very cuddly. I am very blessed because I get to sleep with Simba in my bed when the summer's gone and I no longer run the air conditioning. I don't have to worry about rolling over and squishing him because he's so big. Typically, he'll come and squish me when I'm trying to sleep. But I would love to sleep with the bearded dragon because they're so cuddly in my dragons. But I don't want to, you know, squish them. I feel like I could squish them quite easily. Phoenix became so sweet. If you recall in the beginning, it's one nice thing to see me work with reptiles, guys, because when you watch the beginning of a rescue series, if the reptile's really sick, it's different. But if they've just been neglected, let's say, or mistreated, they're very angry towards me, right? Phoenix used to want to kill me. She would hiss at me. She would try to bite me. I mean, she'd try to kill me. And now she loves me. It's just funny, right? It's true. Simba steals his body. Yeah, that's true. That's also true because I like to be cool when I sleep, and I always get real hot and start to sweat, and then I wake up because Simba has crawled on top of my chest. And so I push him off. I put him at the end of the bed, and I go back to sleep again. And then I'll wake up like 2 hours later, and he's back again. That, and sometimes he snores. And I don't like when he puts his head right next to my ear because then he's snoring right into my ear, which is not great. All right, I'm going to put the bearded dragons back. I'll come back with one. You know what I really want to show off, and I'll probably get, is Guido, because I want to show off his eye surgery and talk to you guys a little bit about that and what happened, and then we can end it up. Ugh. What? Hi, Guido. Oh, you got to go way in the back, don't you? Come here. Come here, buddy. Hi. Ugh. Yep. One more foot, please. Very good, very good. Gotcha. Thank you. Ooh. Who knew monitors could snore? You not only can they snore, pup. A problem with monitors is when they stick their tongue out and they're laying on your chest and you're looking down at them and it goes literally straight up your nose and touches your brain. That's not pleasant to sleep through, or when it goes right into your ear. They do little lip flappy things. Yep, that's true. Okay, Chameleon. Yes, it is okay, Chameleon. So remember that, and it's this eye right here. Can you not? No. This is why I didn't wear long sleeves, because I knew you'd try to climb me. Remember, this is the eye I did the surgery on. The swelling is completely gone, which is great. Come on over here. That's the eye right there. The swelling is completely gone, and his eye is completely normal. Yay! You know what can happen with chameleons? It's actually very common. You see them in chameleons that get older. They can get growths on their eye, actually really anywhere on their body, which kind of sucks. I mean, chameleons kind of suck because they're not long-living animals unless you get like the big size chameleons. They live a handful of years. These guys can push 8 to 10 years, veiled chameleons. But otherwise, you're looking at like a Parsons or a Meller's chameleon, and those are more expensive. But the nice thing is with reptiles is they're very resistant. So I had no vet in the area that wanted to do a surgery on a chameleon. It's very simple, superficial surgery. They bleed very little. You're just cutting the outer layer of skin, and his whole eye has just healed up completely. You can go watch the video.
you can see I took a huge mass of skin growth off his eye. And chameleons, particularly, I want to talk about this, especially veiled ones that have bigger eyes like this. It's very common for them to have eye problems. It's very common because what can happen is the eyelid here, the eye is quite back inside the eyelid, okay? And kind of like a leopard gecko, although this is even more so because there's so much more room. Dirt and debris can get inside the eyelid and it can stay in there and it can lead to infection. And a lot of times the chameleon can pull his eye in and really suck it in. See how this eye's kind of pulled in because I'm by it? Well, you can actually pull, what vets and people who have skilled can do this. You can actually pull the eyelid forward and go inside the eyelid and scoop it clean and get any of that debris out of there. You can also rinse it with water. They'll pull the eye back, you pull the lid, and you rinse it out. Any little specks of dirt or sand or things like this. How the chameleon takes care of this normally is, this is why it's very important that you have a misting system with chameleons, not just a fogger. People will put foggers because they will keep the humidity high on your chameleon, which chameleons do need a good amount of humidity depending on the locality. But you need misting them with water, either with an automatic mist system, or you basically have to give them like a shower with like a big mister, because what they will use is the water from the mist, they will push their eyes way out, but they'll keep the ball back, but they'll push the lid forward, and they'll have that water naturally go inside their eyelid and flood the area and flush it out. A lot of people don't know to do that. Which is interesting. It's very important. Yes, here's Guido. He's not mad because he's not darkening. He's quite happy. His colors are very vibrant. He's fine with being held. If I were to get him mad, he will puff himself. He'll puff this chin way down, and he'll start to turn black all over. Right now, he's just his really beautiful. I love Guido's colors, and the camera doesn't really do it justice. But he goes from being green, his accent color is like as an orange. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. And yes, chameleons cannot change to any color. They will have a color that they can change to. His case is green to orange. Some will go green to red. Some will be blue to green, etc. Right? But yeah, just thought I wanted to show you guys his eye. It's this eye over here, and talk to you about how important it is to make sure that they get misted to clean their eyes. Otherwise, they get eye problems and they die early deaths. If you just have a fogger, they die early deaths. Also, they love live plants. If you put live plants in their cage, they will eat live plants. They'll eat all plants. You need to make sure you're not putting a plant in that could kill the chameleon. You need to make sure it's non-toxic. All right, go back. I guess I'll go over one other thing, because chameleons, although I've put him back, chameleons are very interesting, but it goes towards all lizards as well. And this is important because a lot of times people are not doing the UVB right in their tank. And I've done UVB videos, tester cards, solar meter. It's the only way to do it right. But a lot of times people will have way too much UVB, which is also very bad for your lizards. Now, chameleons, though, are something I want to point out because, like right now, he's basking right underneath the UVB light. But chameleons know, and most lizards do, when they've gotten the right amount of UVB for the day. And he'll go from the top of the tank, and then he will stay at the bottom of his tank to avoid too much UVB. It's very fascinating to see. Now, with the chameleon, though, he's still out and he's still visual because his tank is so big, so he can still stay in the front and be visual, but he's underneath the foliage and he's not absorbing that massive amount of UVB. This is also why I have for my chameleons, this is how I do it.
I have a mercury vapor bulb for the heat with UVB and heat, but chameleons also know when they have too much heat. So when they get too much heat, I still want to give him a spot where he can get UVB. So I have a coiled bulb in a dome that's just putting UVB in one area. And when he needs UVB but not heat, he'll go over here. When he needs UVB and heat, he'll go over here. Then I have a ceramic heat emitter over here that just does heat, because when he doesn't need UVB but he needs heat, he'll go over there. But now I only turn that on in the winter when it's cooler in the house and he needs that extra heat. Veiled chameleons are great. They can survive temperatures down to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So hardy. You're really good with the temperature. So you just need to control the UVB amount, and you need to have a tall tank. Now, that same theory works perfectly with bearded dragons, except bearded dragons are not arboreal. So a lot of times people will make very big, they'll use a tube that goes the tank of the full length of the tank. That's wrong. They'll use too strong of a bulb. That's wrong. They'll have it too close to the basking spot. That's wrong. And you'll put out way too much UVB. Way too much. And your dragon will get its daily limit very fast. And then it will hide, because it doesn't have a side of the tank where there's less of a UVB gradient. And that's why not only doing a heat gradient, hot side, cool side, you need a UVB gradient. Strong solar rays, little to no solar rays. So you'll see a lot of times, if you've done it right, your bearded dragon will be laying under the UVB. But then for a portion of the day, or maybe a whole day, staying away from the UVB, because it doesn't need that much, right? It's like staying out of the sun or sun tanning. Once you've, let's say you tan, once you got to your specific color tone you wanted, I don't tan, you don't want to keep going. You don't want to look like a piece of burnt leather. And the dragon doesn't want to feel bad from too much UVB. So sometimes the only place they can hide from the UVB is inside a cave. That's fine. That's natural and that's normal. But why do you want a bearded dragon that's hiding in a cave when it's gotten its UVB maximum? Don't you want to see the pet, interact with the pet? So that's why you want a visual area that's not in a dark cave that has low UVB that they can flock to, which is great. So a lot of the times you'll see them either basking with their UVB, or you'll see them far away from it. You don't want the low UVB area or just the cool side in general to always be in the cave. Otherwise, they can split their time 50-50, and then you don't see your pet for half the time. What a waste. Vicky White has donated me $10. First live. Love seeing them. Thank you so much, Vicky. You have helped this channel so much, and I appreciate you so much, and I appreciate everyone's donations. They all the money I make on YouTube, Patreon, whether it's through donations or just watching the ads or clicking on the ads or donating on Patreon, it all goes to the reptiles. It doesn't go to me, not a penny. I spend it all on the reptiles, which is good, because, you know, when I buy them hornworms or treats like that, or meat and stuff, you know, it can add up. But one of the key to being healthy is a variety of diet. Just like we don't like eating the same thing every day. Sometimes I joke that the reptiles eat better than I do, and sometimes they do. They get a more variety than I do. But so donations, they go right to them. So I appreciate it so much. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for all your videos, especially the random little ones for answering questions. So one nice thing with YouTube Shorts, guys, is I don't have to always make the videos where I just sit here and chat and just do information. I can throw out quicker little gag videos. If I see one of my dragons acting funny or something like that, I can make a nice short video, show it off, and people can laugh. Sometimes my shorts are educational. And then sometimes I do just shorter videos where it's really quick to the topic because I just want to focus on it and be done. And then sometimes you guys got my long videos where there's a lot of information I want to cover, and it's very important. I try to help cover everyone. Some people love the longer videos. Some people love the shorter videos. So I try to cover that. Some people like when I do feeding montages with music. Other people want it to be silent. So I do try to cover. I'll make one where it has music, one where you can hear the food crunching, one where you can hear the skin being peeled off, and one where you have music. So I do try to cover it for everyone. So
a video that's not your cup of tea may come around from time to time, but just remember it's somebody else's cup of tea, and the tea is just getting rotated. So eventually your tea will come back. And Diana Bauer has donated me $10 EU, it looks like. Again, right to the Reptiles, so thank you so much. They greatly appreciate it, especially when I have to buy pain-killing cream, antibiotics. Oh, man, just so much supplies. I just got to tell you, even rubber gloves and stuff. And I want to show more rescue or surgery type videos on YouTube, guys. Just know, and if you're part of the Patreon, you know in the Discord that I still rescue a lot of reptiles. Sometimes it's hard to film one, but also, too, with some of the procedures I have to do, YouTube is it's weird, very anti anything medical, I guess I would say, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to go deeper into it. Mine definitely eat better than me. Yeah, I mean, also sometimes it's easier, right? Like, because if let's say I was going to cook a piece of beef for me, okay? One, I go to the store and I see a steak is on sale, manager special, eat it within 3 days or freeze it. Jackpot. Except it's not just me. So if I get a big steak, you guys have seen it. It's like, I'm going to have steak for dinner tonight, but not really. Because first of all, that means all the meat eaters that can eat beef are going to have steak for dinner with me. So I have to cut, you've seen it in my cooking videos, I cut off the section that they're going to eat, even if it's just treats, if they're not getting a full meal. If I get a steak, half of it will be for me, and half of it will be treats for beef, especially since beef is typically not that good for most of my reptiles that eat meat, although some, like the black throats, can process it no problem. But regardless, Simba will get a thin strip, Sweet Tooth will get it, Nala will get it, Smog and Ventress will get it, Link will get a strip, John Wesley, my bullfrog, gets a strip, Mr. Bernard, the blue-tongued skink, gets a strip. If it's chicken or things like that, the turtles get a little strip as well. So, and then I eat the remainder. But it's easier to feed them because they just eat it raw. Just boom, boom, boom. Here, I got to cook it and do all this. So you can give them a variety much better. It's funny because, Patreon has allowed me, I bought a freezer, just small freezer, just for the reptile stuff. So people will open it and they expect to see just rats and mice in there, which are in there. But what's also in there? Chicken that I've prepared. So either chicken breast I've sliced, drumsticks, sides of chicken, hunks of beef, frozen whole fish, things like that. So it's like, it's not me. So if the rats are at the bottom and like the human food is at the top, people are like, wow, you got a lot of meat here. And again, I typically buy it on discount when it's manager special, and then I just put it in the freezer and be like, yeah, none of that's for me. That's all for the reptiles. But it's funny because before Patreon, I had to have like all the rats in my human freezer, right? Although I had a chest freezer in the basement, I had my human food and then the rats and everything next to it. So it was a big deal when I got this chest fridge. I was able to put all the rats and everything in their own freezer. And Patreon and YouTube discounts or YouTube donations, as well as people who, again, let the videos, the advertisements play. I know you can skip ads, but if you see, oh, this is a 10-second ad, if you let it play out, it's really the only way it pays out for me, which pays out for them because it goes to them. Brilliant once again. Well, thank you. Thank you, Diana. Thank you so much. True pet person, taking better care of that. Well, so Delasso, here's the thing, right? None of these things, no animals ask to be pets, are pets. So if we are making the commitment to take these things in as pets, then we now have a duty to give them the best care possible that we can do. And if we can't give them the best care possible, then we don't have them. We shouldn't have them. Now, the best care possible is not, buying them filet mignon every day for dinner, right? So you have to do the best within your means. And as long as your means are enough to properly take care of them, great. If they weren't in the proper, you guys have seen people who keep all pets, but specifically I focus on reptiles, in dog cages, improper humidity, improper lighting, improper heating, improper substrate, improper food. and just improper care. You know, you'll see them with wounds on their faces from when they've been trying to squeeze through the tank. I mean, reptiles are very stubborn. Smog is huge. He tries to wedge himself into any way possible, and a lot of times I have to save him. I let him and Simba roam the family room every night in the wintertime because I can't bring them outside. It's too cold. I guess in this case it's also fall, but it's cold in Michigan. It's in the 50s, so they can't come outside. So I let them roam the family room. Simba is much smaller. He likes to wedge himself underneath, like, the couch, and that's fine. He can be under there. It's all good because he'll come out when I have him come out. Smog sees that. He gets very jealous. He tries to wedge his fat self under the couch, and then he gets stuck because he cannot reverse when his arms are in front of him like this, and then he starts panicking, and then I have to save him. So you give them the best care that you can give, but they're also derpy sometimes. Do they like cooked meat? They could probably eat plain cooked meat, but then you are removing, you know, some of those raw nutrients that they want, right? Whenever you cook something, you are removing vitamins and nutrients from it. We have to cook it because we need to get rid of bacteria, but it's like with vegetables when they say, you know, the healthiest way to eat a vegetable is either raw, if you can eat it raw, or steam it. It removes the least amount. So with them, you want to give them the most amount. But you've seen, I do feed, it's very funny. I don't claim to be a pioneer. This data's out there, but I feed my monitor lizards, my meat eaters, vegetables and fruit because they will eat vegetables and fruit in the wild. It's part of their diet. And every time, then all of a sudden, you know, I did pumpkins to my meat eaters. Then all of a sudden, all YouTubers are, oh, here's eat some vegetables. It's very funny. I think it's very funny. But your meat eater will eat primarily meat, but in the wild, like Asian water monitors in the wild, for instance, they've been known to raid farmers' farms and eat the crops off of the plants. So, and there are good vitamins in there. You just don't want to give them too much. Same thing, fruit, very good. Can definitely help as a natural laxative and also very good to increase moisture. But some fruits, lots of sugar. So, of course, reptiles love those, like blueberries. Not great to give them that much sugar, but good to give them as a healthy treat. Or tart cherries. Why are tart cherries good? Really good for nutrition, but tart cherry juice is very good for the joints, even humans, and it's very good to prevent and help treat gout. So I feed tart cherries twice a month. Bearded dragons get one. I buy them frozen, the bag. They're already de-seeded, and I thaw one tart cherry every 2 weeks for the bearded dragons, and everyone else gets a couple. Very good for them. Good for their joints, reduces inflammation, helps prevent gout. And they just like the way the tart cherries taste. And then I like it because if any of them don't eat them, I eat the leftover ones. I got so many small boffins for different types. Yep, well, you know exactly what it's like then. You got all your veggie assortment and everything. That's why I have a spreadsheet on cat food. Yep. Very good, very good. Do your beardies do the arm wave? From time to time, but they will do the arm wave. The females will do it to the males when the males are giving them a good stare down and they're submitting. What I like to do, actually, is kind of itch them, like by rubbing them, especially when they're like half asleep, and then they'll like move their arm to try to swat me away. It's very funny. They don't like that. I like that. Doesn't cause them any pain or anything. It's just funny to do. I had no interest in reptiles till I came across your videos. Oh, thank you. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people wrote them off as uncaring pets, super expensive pets, too hard to take care of. And they're like, oh, I'm going to get a lizard. It's going to sit in its tank and I'm going to throw it food and it doesn't care about me. And then you get your bearded dragon that is begging to come out and be held and pet by you every day. Or you get a snake. You get a ball python that is begging to come curl up onto mom and to sleep on mom or sleep on mom's shoulder or just be snoot booped by mom. It's quite fascinating because even snakes, huge amount of emotion. I recommend ball pythons because they're smaller. When you get a big 50-pound snake and it still wants to act like it was a baby and be held by you and rocked by you, That's a lot of weight, man. That's a lot of weight. Thoughts on fruit juices as treat? It's fine as a treat if it's natural, pure fruit juice, no added sugars, and is a low sugar juice and low acidic juice. So orange juice, high in acidity. And if you get the low acidity one, I think they just add water to it to kind of water it down. But yeah, if you have tart cherry juice, is very good. Whenever I've had problems thinking they've got gout or some inflammation, syringe feed pure tart cherry juice, very good. It's good for me to drink. It's good for them. I just came back. Did you say beardies can have raw meat like chicken steak? So I wouldn't feed them to bearded dragons, although they would eat it and it could be okay. The problem is with adult bearded dragons, they don't do well with a lot of protein. That's the problem there. Although a female who has just laid eggs can be an exception, but typically you would feed her small mice. That way she can reabsorb the fat and the raw calcium from their bones and help boost her up only after she's laid eggs. Too much of that protein when they're adults is very bad for them. Can we see a salve, please? You inspired me. I will. Simba is still asleep, but I will see. His tank is right here. I'll see if I can get him out. That's fine. Are cranberries and dried pineapple not sweetened and coconut flakes? Again, pineapple, although I've had a little bit, it does have acidity. So you got to watch for it. Cranberries can be fine. Low sugared. I can relate a bit in the sense that I never thought about getting a reptile before this channel, but it really was the match made in heaven I was looking for with my ball. Oh, Rachel! Yes! Okay, I love this because I don't know if Double Dragon Hotel is still in here or listening, but she was looking for a caring, easy to take care of, but a loving pet. And I was like, well, get a snake. People are like, what? I was like, yeah, get a ball python. What? I was like, this ball python will watch you like a puppy dog. When you walk by, this ball python will come to the front of the tank. It will want to be held by mom. It wants mom to interact with it. I put my ball python around my shoulders, around my neck while I do my yard work when it's nice, when I'm mowing, when I'm doing housework, washing dishes. My ball python is on me, looking forward. And most of the time they just sleep. They see very, very, very loving pets when you can spend time with them. And when you don't spend time with them, they don't become killers. They're just not as loving. They're just like, oh, it's you again. But when you have a pet, they'll ball up. People will think, oh, when I hold my ball python, it just wants to wrap around my neck or stay in a ball in your hand. It's not true. When you have a loving ball python, they'll be like held. When I go for my 2-mile walks, Tetra will be like this around my chest, and I have to hold her like a baby. That's how she likes to be held, like this. And she just looks forward from being in my arms. Very loving pets. And it's kind of funny. And now, a lot of snakes can behave like that as pets. But the reason, again, why I like the ball pythons is it's much easier to hold, a 5-pound snake that at max can get to 4 feet than it is to hold a 20-foot, 80-pound snake like this, because the pet still thinks it's a baby. It's coming to you because you're mom, but they're gigantic. It's so funny that even my grandma really loves my beardy. It's funny about snakes and about lizards. So my brother, this is 4 years ago now, death-defyingly scared of snakes. Now he has like 6 ball pythons and he breeds them. And it's funny because his interaction was just coming here and seeing me interact with them. And then his wife wasn't scared at all, so that didn't hurt. But he would just be like, wow, this is not scary. Wow, this is not trying to bite me. Wow, even when I put it around my shoulders, it's not like choking me. It's not trying to choke me. Yeah. You want to know why? Because what they show you in the movie is fake. It's fake. Snakes are very great, loving pets, especially little baby ball pythons. They are so funny because they're like babies. They love mom or they love dad. but they're a snake. And they're just funny. I mean, ball pythons are just funny. I'm sorry. They're just so funny. Like when you have the snake out and it just wants to hang out with you, it's just funny. Yeah, they come out to be picked up. I mean, it's just funny. It's just so funny. All right, so I'm gonna get ready to wrap this up. Before I go and try to see if we can get Simba and he says hello, does anyone else have any questions? Any reptile related question? It doesn't have to be on a specific reptile. Now would be the time, and hopefully not. If you don't, not hopefully not, just if you don't, hopefully you guys enjoyed talking with me, seeing some of my reptiles, but just hanging out. That's the big thing here is I'm just hanging out for you guys so you can shoot questions or hear me talk where it's not in a, a recorded thing. Let me try to tap Simba's, tap his tank there, see if that wakes him up. He's going to get pissed at me already, I can tell. Oh, if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, Animal One Guy on Instagram, every October, one picture a day of a different reptile in a Halloween costume goes up on my Instagram. And then a video leads up until Halloween Day, October 31st, where we have the costume contest video with my reptiles. And you guys get to vote on who is wearing the best costume. Turtle tank keeps going green. Okay, so a lot of algae there. A couple things to go over for you. Is your turtle tank the right temperature? Do you have an air bubbler in it? Okay. Do you have a light directly over the water of the turtle tank? I have a basking spot that prevents the UVB light from going into the water. It's a big platform that they crawl up onto that helps lower the algae. And then do you have your type of filter? You got to really make sure you've got good bacteria in your filter where it will be eating the algae. If all else fails, if let's say you conquer that or you have to have a light that, because you can't build a dock, that the UVB light, or really just any light is going on your water, you can get a filter that has a UVB-C bulb in it. So after it filters the water, it passes over this bulb that kills the algae. Yeah, so you got that floating dock. So that mercury vapor bulb is creating algae inside the water. That's why I built a bigger dock. That way the mercury vapor bulb sits on top of that dock and it doesn't feed into the water. But you can do a filter with a disinfectant light in it, and it will kill the algae. I have that filter as well, and I have that mercury vapor bulb covered. But yeah, do one of those. If you can't get a big, they make a dock. I don't know if it's Zoomed or something that clips to the top of the tank that the turtle can climb into, and you put the bulb right above that. Turtle tank keeps going. Yep, got you. Are there any snakes that eat greens, or any reason why they? Not really. There are some snake foods you can make that fortify the meal with vegetables and stuff, but the snake on its own is not going to be lured to it. Green and add in UVB sterilizer to the pump. Yeah. Sometimes you can add in freshwater stuff to clean the turtle tank, like ghost shrimp and stuff, but the turtles typically eat those. Algae eaters, What products do you use for cleaning, and have you thought about making a video? I did actually I think I've done 1 or 2 dubia videos, to be honest, back in the past, which dubia roach keeping is extremely easy to do, extremely cheap. And then you're guaranteeing you're getting good quality roaches that are parasite free, which is a big deal. Why I advocate raising dubias rather than buying crickets and stuff, because you can keep the colony small and you don't have to worry about introducing bacteria to your reptile. And I use chlorhexidine. It's the best spray, kills everything. It's food safe. It's the main ingredient in Listerine mouthwash. That's why it's blue. We can put it in our mouths. You just have to dilute it. And it's good for surgery procedures at more diluted, and it's good for cleaning the tank. Also, you can just let it evaporate and the reptile can lick it and it doesn't kill them. Have UV light not installed yet? Oh, well, if you have a mercury vapor bulb, it does UVB and UVA. It actually is going to give you the most UV. Okay, let me see. If you guys got other questions, ask them. I'm going to try to see if I can get Simba. He's like the mascot. I know everyone loves Simba because he's big, he's derpy, but he's so gentle and so kind that how can you not love him? But I may not be able to. He may be sleeping in the back of his cave. And a big rule that I have, and people should adopt as well, is if the lizard is really in the back of their cave, I don't ever mess with them when they're back there. That way they know that's an area they can go to when they don't want to be messed with. Snakes, I just take the enclosure off, mess with them all the time. Let me see what we can do. Hello. Hi. Good morning. Hi. Good morning. Hi. 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 And you've been listening to me talk? Did I wake you up? Okay. It's not my fault that you're a celebrity. It's not my fault you're a celebrity. Oh. Oh, here, big boy. I skinks don't want to be messed with. Simba, don't lick my face. I'm trying to read here. No matter where in the tank he is, our sun is filled up with a... Please, not the face. Good morning. Look, everyone's saying good morning to you. You want to see them? You know, you keep licking me in my face. I don't like that when I'm trying to read. Ooh. Yes, lizard kisses are fine, but when I'm trying to read, he just woke up. So, but I'm trying to read. What are you looking at? What are you, oh. Oh, Simba. Can we read? Come here on one arm. I'm going to take up both my arms here. Grab on. There you go. Good job. Yes, he likes to wave. Wave to everyone. Good job. Simba, people are saying hi to you. Yes, early in the morning. Sometimes I go like this. I go to the Lion King. No. What? It's the end of the stream. I brought you out at the end of the stream. I didn't have you out here all stream. For God's sakes, man. For God's sakes. Oh, I do that with my baby. Yeah, well, why not, right? Except he has the name. That's why his tank is called the Pride Lands. And I tell him everywhere the light touches is his kingdom in there. What is that? What is this? What is this? What is this? There you go. Chew on that. Everything the UVB bulb touches. Yeah, that's right. Well, he's got more lights in his tank that are not just UVB, so he's a strong boy. All right. Any other questions before we head out, Simba and I? Give me that ball. Give me this ball. Oh, Dude, give him a treat. I mean, every day, just being with me, this guy is a treat. Ooh, Simba. All the ladies. Do you take Bertha and paint up? I don't take them outside to lakes or anything, but I do let them walk around outside. Or walks. Well, I let them, they wander on the grass. I can't bring them all outside at the same time because you put them down and then like a grenade, they all scatter and run in different directions. And turtles are very fast. And so are tortoises, really. But turtles are very fast. So they just hit the ground and they're just boom, 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 boom. 2 are going for the street. 2 are going for my neighbor's bushes. 1's trying to get under my bushes. It's a disaster. So 1 at a time or sometimes 2 at a time. And it's all good. Yes, they get their exercise. What do you think? No, you want to know what the best pet lizard is for a beginner? I will tell you. The best pet lizard is a savanna monitor because they are awesome. As long as you got the space. Attach GoPro to Kwame. Dude, Kwame is a psychopath. I'm not attaching a GoPro to him. He is always he used to until I Kwame proofed the tank, he would just get out. And so I can't do that. Who knows, God knows where he would go. And I would just find him just on the floor in the middle of my kitchen, like, ugh. So I had to set up like child alarms. He was the smile of an, yes, he is the smile of an unhinged man. He's sleeping now. They're getting ready because it's winter time, so a lot of them they sleep most of the day. But he's an unhinged man. He could kill you easily with that smile and keep that smile the whole entire time as he's killing you. All right, Simba, we're gonna go now. We're gonna say goodbye. You can stay out and eat this ball. That's fine. But you could at least say goodbye. They made me wake you up, number 1. I just want to put the blame 100% on them, and I don't want you to be mad at me. Because I was just going to leave you asleep, and they're like, please, can we see Simba? And they wouldn't leave me alone. It's not my fault. Just need you to know that. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Here, you want the ball? Get the ball. Why did you let it roll so far away? I'm going to scoop you up like a vacuum cleaner. There you go. I had to have him bring him to the ball to scoop him up. Hello, hello. You caught right at the tail end of the stream. It's been so long. Have a great day. It is. I'm going to try to do live streams more, guys, but I'll be honest, YouTube Live is such a pain. And then it uses the wrong webcam. And then it's just not very friendly. It's just not easy. You think you would just click one button and you'd be good. That's wrong. So thanks everyone for coming. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Whenever you watch my videos, it super helps if you guys leave likes. It super helps if you leave comments, even just saying hi. Both of those things boost the algorithm, the YouTube algorithm. That way, then you actually get views. If you let the little ads play, then I get a little bit of money. That means Simba gets a little bit of money. Yes. If you haven't checked out and you have Bearded Dragons, make sure you look at Double Dragon Hotel's YouTube channel. Excellent information coming out of her channel on different illnesses, UVB bulb testing. I mean, she has excellent information. So it's very good to check out. Hello. Chonk 4-star number 1 mod. Exclamation mark. I'm taking care of hermit. I love hermit crabs. I really love all crabs, to be honest with you, because they're just so cool and unique. I also love eating snow crab because it just tastes so good. Thank you. I did try. Lord knows I've been through a lot. Yeah, her channel is really good because she's had illnesses, vet procedures. She has a reptile that's been spayed, egg laying, male and female interaction. I mean, just throughout the days, talking about UVB, which I can't advocate enough. Oh, I also want to tell you guys, so my Arcadia bulbs now are, the oldest bulb I have is about 2 years old, and it's still just pumping down UVB. I mean, just pumping it down. I think it's lost 2%. which is just fine. It's still, well, it's on the high end of the safe zone currently for them. So it's just pumping them down. I have seen them trade shells before, especially in the wild, where they get in a huge line and one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. I'm fascinated by that. I'm just fascinated. All right, Simba, you're gonna wave goodbye. It's gonna be like Mr. Rogers or Fred Penner's place or Mr. Dressup. Well, it's not gonna be like Mr. Dressup because we don't have a train to ride on. I wish we did, but we don't. All right, are you good? Good. All right, guys, we're all gonna go. People like you make my day. Yeah, well, I'm fascinated by animals and all those things. So, especially animals that can't talk, but they still have their own way to communicate and they know how to do things based on instinct. It's fascinating. Like when my turtles want to escape and they have Big Bertha go on the bottom and then the next biggest and then the next biggest, and then Kwame can throw his head over like a rope and pull himself over. It's fascinating. How do they know to do that? How do they say, hey guys, let's go escape right now? I don't know. It's fascinating though. All right, Simba, we're going to say goodbye. We have to say goodbye now, okay? It was a very good live stream. Vicky and Diana Bauer, thank you so much for your $10 donations each. I greatly appreciated it. You helped the channel so much. All right, Simba, let's say goodbye. Wave. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. Oh, don't want to even have... You want to say goodbye? Yummy. Naughty, naughty, naughty. Take care, guys. Have a good Sunday. End. We ended it.